good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the F word, follow-up trends in real estate. I'm Sara Delansig, and that's my homie, Heather Murcin.
Hi,
Murcin.
Murcin.
Murcin. I
How
always,
long, how long have we been friends?
I know. Okay, but can you say oh yeah, I just said my last name. I was gonna say, can you say my last name? All right then. Merson. I always get it confused because I think like it should,
It
anyways.
reads different. It reads much different than it sounds, so I get it. And I don't
I
I don't know if there's one person I've ever heard say it correctly, so I get
mm, Someday I will. Someday. Give me time.
it.
Okay, so we are going to discuss something that I think both of us have experienced recently as the owners of ISA companies who do things pretty differently. Um, we're going to talk about how to make the most out of your ISA or your VA, what to do, what not to do. Heather actually uses or has VAs as part of her ISA VA company. I do not. So I will lean heavily on her for the VA part of it. But I think we'll start by focusing in on this topic because a lot of agents think that an ISA is going to be this be all end all for their business, right? And we've seen a lot of times where they do, um, they think that, and then they end up spending money that maybe they shouldn't have, or they spend the money and then they just fall off the face of the planet. um, so I have a breakdown of what we're gonna get into, but this comes from a story. I'm going to share my story, and then Heather, you go ahead and share yours, and we'll leave names out of it so our former clients are not feeling, outed on this. But um, for me, I have a lot of clients who are very busy, very big teams, large teams, and that sort of thing. And they hire an ISA hoping that, we'll get them more appointments and that sort of thing. So one of my clients hired me and she had an overseas person or something like that for her for a long time. Did not get any appointments. I don't know how long I think it was a lot longer than she had me, um, but she didn't get any appointments from this person. So they weren't really interacting with the ISA as far as I understand it, anyhow. Now the ISA was making like 200 calls a day, which is absolutely insane for not getting anything out of it. And I don't know about you, Heather, but I mean, I'm sure you do this. I keep track of every single phone call and I keep track of like which platform and I keep track of all the wins. Like on Monday, well, over the weekend, I set 2 appointments, that's for one team. I don't normally work weekends, but there's one team that I take Zillow calls for, and they were all having a party that weekend. So and then I had a client who met with a buyer that I got her, and he was pre-approved, and she got the buyer's agency agreement signed. So I was really stoked. So I keep track of all that stuff. That's a win in my book, right? Um, so it's really not good if you have somebody making 200 calls a day for up to a year. Let's just say it was a year because I'm pretty sure that's how long it was. Um, I know. You get what you pay for though with some of this stuff, right? So it,
You have to stumble into an appointment at some point.
I know,
Hmm.
even a broken clock is right, like twice a day,
Yes,
right?
yes,
I know. That's what I said too when she was interviewing me for
wild.
this, right? And so when I first started my business, I had to learn from mistakes. Okay. So and I'm sure you've done the same thing. We've all learned from mistakes. So in my contract, my onboarding form, when you agree to it, it says like you will be communicative, you will be, responsive. And if you are not responsive, then we will stop your calls. And this is what I'm telling her because in the process, it took a long time for us to even get signed up and all of the situation. So I was like, hey, you've been not not the greatest at responding. So I'm a little concerned about this, right? So the first week, I was getting her appointment after appointment. She had this really incredible thing. I cannot share with anybody what it is, but she will probably sell it as a coaching thing at some point, which is super cool. And it was working really well. And if you want an ISA that knows how to do it, come over here. But anyways, I was getting her so much that it was overwhelming her. Like, because she had this person that was not, you know, not interacting or not getting anything. And then I'm like, oh, I got this, I got this, I got this. How do I do this? Like, and there's a whole SOPs that needs to be set up on the end of the agent so that we know how to handle something when we run into certain situations. So, needless to say, after several months of, because I have a 3 month minimum on my contract, and I swear this is not a pitch for my company or your company, but I'm just trying to explain how it works. Um, After that time, she was like, we're going to have to hire in house. This is just too crazy. Like, this is like, we can't keep up. Right. Which I understand, respect. Okay. Understood. But that is where this topic comes from my mind, is because I'm like, I wish agents knew, especially the ones that are too busy. First of all, they burn out. They're going to burn out. Like, you need to slow down. And I think it is a good idea for her to find a way to, hire in house because of the amount of leads and everything she had. So that is where I'm coming from. Now we will get into your story of what happened with you, and then we can get into how to help.
I mean, you say story, but I feel like that stories happen a lot to me. And I think you've helped me quite a bit with that, with knowing who my clientele is, knowing who's going to be a good fit right from the jump. And before, I used to just want to help everybody, and I had really bad boundary issues. So even when I knew in my gut they weren't going to be a good fit, I would still try to cram them in. And the biggest lesson I think you've helped me learn is you're not hiring help, you're hiring leverage. Our job is to leverage your business. So we're not the hired help. We're not just somebody who makes calls for you. Like, our job is to be a squeeze, to be a part of your team, and it has to be a good fit. If it's not a good fit, it's never going to work. And I feel like a lot of agents, and I feel like this is a very good, as you were talking, I was like, this is perfect because you have your Seahawks on and I have my Buffalo on. But like, they're using us as a Hail Mary. They're like, this is my last ditch effort, 2 minutes, like 2 seconds of the game, throwing it down the field. And they're like, if you don't catch it, it's your fault. And I'm like, no, like, our job is to set you up for success. Our job is to not only just make the calls, and this I think is a really good reason why I have the VA portion, because I feel like for us anyway, the ISA portion isn't enough, because we see so many agents that don't know how to do the uh, drip part of it. They don't know how to do the ads, and I feel like if the automations aren't working for them, then we can't do our job sufficiently. So it's almost like we have to do that portion to make sure that we're good at what we do. And the other part of it's like, with the administrative part of it, I I tried, and this is my control issue, so but I have to control as many outcomes as I possibly can. And so, because I'm trying to control as many variables, if I can control the automations, I can control the drips, I can control the text messages that go out, I can control the outcome, and I can keep that person in house. And I feel like a lot of times, and this speaks to exactly what you're talking about, when an agent is too busy, I set up an appointment and I say, here you go. They want to meet with, if I'm talking to them Friday and they want to meet you Sunday at 12, I'm expecting you to meet them Sunday at 12. When I hear 2 weeks later that you never met with them, my brain is like, especially when you're like, do you think you could get them back on the phone?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't even, yeah, that's a whole
Just
thing for
over
me.
here, yeah. Because I'm like,
I
sure,
tell
let
you,
me try.
girl, you put a lot on your plate, and I commend you. I would not want that much responsibility. So see, that's why my ideal client and your ideal client is different. And I send you a lot of referrals because there's a lot of the everyday people that need that other extra help. For
Yep.
my clients, I'm much more involved, and my ISAs and everything. We are, like you said, a part of your team. What we are doing is we are sifting through your CRM for the silver and the gold. Okay.
Yep.
We are looking through the trash, essentially, or whatever you have. We're looking through and we're sorting and we're, putting it in the right spots. And what I want to say today that I think is really important, and I keep it real. My previous, podcast was called Keeping It Real Estate. So follow up has changed. Follow up has changed. That's why I'm calling this the F word, follow up trends. there is no chasing anymore, right?
Yeah.
Okay, people can completely block you, ignore you, harass you if like there's so
Yeah.
many things. So the reality of how we do what we do is that we want to do it for people we like, no interest.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
only want to work with the agents that I know are going to respect my process and my expertise because they're not the ones making the calls most of
And
the time.
my time.
Time.
Oh,
Yes, absolutely. There are so many things we can get into with that. And the VA side of it is really like, I mean, like I said, I commend you for that because that's a lot. And a lot of times the agents don't know, and that can help, but I want somebody that has it set up or at least has something. I come in more of like a consultant in a lot of cases. Like I had revamped one of my clients' teams. They're like the largest team in Georgia. I've talked about them a lot. Um, and they went from no systems, no nothing. All they had was Zillow calls coming in and a bunch of leads and a CRM that nobody used and all that sort of thing. And so when I came in, I was like, look, we have to meet weekly. Like, we have to figure this out. You're going to meet with me for an hour every week, and we are going to go over what's working, what's not working, and how to adjust. So I would pile up my whole little list of things that I came across over the week and figure out a way to fix them. And then we would implement slowly. And over time, they have now adjusted. They hated me at first, don't get me wrong. I mean, the agents on the team, not not my client, but the agents on the team, because they're a large team, they did not like me. And I'm very West Coast and they're very Southern. So they say like sweetie and honey and darling. And I was like, that's an insult in Seattle. Like you do not call me that. Like so, and so they kind of told me like you gotta be so I do little emojis and smiley faces now and stuff like that. Okay, so some of the things
but my
go.
question is, what do you do when you, okay, so I have one of my assistants who had a client who she would try to schedule meetings with, weekly meetings, and they would have it on the calendar, they would be
And then
scheduled,
they wouldn't show up.
they just wouldn't show up. And for weeks on end, this would happen. What do you do? Because for
Okay,
me, I'm
well, first of all, so I my system is prepay, auto pay. Okay. Commitment, right? All right. So they're already paying for my services. Then they sign something that says that if they are not communicating with me, then I stop their calls. I will let them know. And I've had a client not get back to me for a month and a half. Okay. Yeah. And they were still paying me. So I would every week I would be like, hey, just reminding you about this and all these things that I sent you that we need to go over. And I would make it easier for them as time went on. But, you know, for me, and I did run into that because they're so busy. And a lot of these agents, and this is one thing that I mean, we could talk about, but we're on the ISA side of it, is how do agents scale back from the yes, 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 I'll do whatever. Oh, I'm always available. That is a problem that agents have where they're always available 24/7 for their clients, not necessarily
right,
for the
right,
ISA or for the VA, right? But we get back burnered on a lot of this stuff. And so I also set clear expectations right from the jump. Like I make sure that they understand it. I make sure that they understand, how it's going to work. I make sure that they understand that I am not someone that is just going to mindlessly dial and
yeah,
just you know, hi, this is Sara, get hung on about next. Like, no, that's not how I do it. I make sure that I get to know them. A lot of my clients have YouTube channels. I get to know their area. I get to know how to say the weird cities and names, and I get to understand their market. Like, I do a deep dive on who they are, and I make sure that we are going to vibe. Because if
yeah,
I'm not feeling it, I have told people, as a matter of fact, I told you about there was this one guy, and I said he came in with this attitude, like I used to be an ISA, and I used to, make blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, awesome. He's like, I'm just too busy now, and I just want to make sure that you're going to do it exactly how I want it. I said, no, I'm not. So you should probably go find someone else. And he goes, just like that. And I said, yeah, I can already tell we're not going to be a good fit for each other. And I only want to work for people that I actually want to get business for. He
Oh
wasn't very
no,
happy. He hung up on me. I've never had anybody hang up on me on Zoom except for that guy.
you're so much braver than I am because I'd be like, well, I think we could probably make it work.
I'm like, Heather, no, you're a badass businesswoman. Okay. You don't
I
need
have
to
gotten
do.
significantly better. I will say
I
from
know. I
the
know.
person I was, I'd say a year and a half to 2 years ago, I'm but much better at boundaries, but my problem is I just want to help everyone and I want to just show you like if I can just show you my way, I can show you that we're very good at what we do and then we can work well together. We'll figure it out. Because I'm like somebody's not going to stop something that's working well. If I'm setting up appointments and you're getting business and all you need me to do is get you in the door, I'm getting you in the door. But I can't make you walk through the door. That is what I've learned. I cannot make you walk through that door.
That is very true. And so that's why you got to set the clear expectations with it. And I understand your need to help, but then you're putting yourself in this position where you're the scapegoat for it. And I'm not, I have people, I just had a client sign up recently and they're like, how many appointments are we going to get out of this? I said, that's impossible to say. I can tell you that for these people that signed up a month ago, this is what I've done for them, but they're in a different market. They have
Yep.
different, they have different ads, they have different things going on. It's the average sales. I'm like, every little factor matters. I have one client spends plenty of money on all kinds of ads, so many leads you could not even think. But setting up property alerts means she has to go into like 7 different MLSs. So it's not worth it to her if it's not a certain price point and if they're not very serious. Like I've gotten
Yep.
her like $1.7 million buyers and sellers, and they were like wanting three bed, three primary bedrooms in the South. And she's like, that's probably impossible. So I'm like, okay, girl. I mean, if you're happy, I'm happy. Like, I will do what I can. I can tell you that I am the best at what I do. I know that I am the best at what I do. Um, Along with you, I'm not counting you out, but I'm the best at what I do.
Yep.
And I will do whatever I can for my clients. I will even work weekends and take Zillow calls at 5 a.m. on the weekends because I care that much, right? So I still care. It's just that like I preface it with like if I already see where this is headed because you already have a specific attitude, then it's not going to work well. And I actually had to teach one of my clients that because he would go on appointments when he shouldn't have. Like somebody wants 500K for a house that is the estimate is 150K, and they're already talking like, oh, if you can't give me 500K cash right now, blah 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 blah. It's like they would tell me set the appointment in the beginning. Well, they finally realized that's a giant waste of their time. Like this
Yep.
person isn't serious, and then there's no reason for me to set that. So I could set it, sure, but why?
Well, and I think that's the biggest thing that I try to set on my overview calls is like everything that we set with intent. So like when I hear them compare me, like, oh, I just talked to somebody and they said they could get me, 20 appointments a month. Well, are those phone appointments? Are those buyer appointments? Are those real appointments? How many of those are actually set to Met are very different.
Yeah,
When I set an
exactly.
appointment, I'm going to try to set it in person 90% of the time. Like that is
Yep.
my go-to all the time because that is where your strength is. But also you have a good chance of leaving there with and if there is not intent behind there because again a lot of we talked about this well I guess I should say five the five core questions we're asking is do they have the desire to move, do they have the ability to move, do they have a reason to move, are they obligated to a realtor, and what's their timeline. I don't follow scripts. We could talk about that all day. I hate scripts. I
Yeah,
think
same.
but it's all framework. You know where you're going with the conversation. You know where you want the conversation to go. Your job is to lead the conversation, but also get through those. Keep them on the phone long enough to get those questions answered. If all of those questions line up, there's an appointment to be set. If I
Mhm.
don't have the answer to all of those questions, we're not setting an appointment. And if it's someone like with my daughter graduates in May, or my son is going to be born in November, whatever it is, those are hard timelines that we can't budge. Our job is not to
Yes.
move those. Like you said, our job is to sift. So my job is to find people whose timelines are line up now and get you in front of them and make it work. But if those things don't line up, there's no point. And like you said, I can't tell you how many people I'm going to talk to that works. I could tell you how many I could set for the sake of setting them. And you and I've talked about this before. Actually, you've taught me quite a bit about this. I used to set appointments before people were ready, and I think I lost business that way because I would push them. They would agree to the appointment, and then the agent would go on the appointment. They wouldn't be ready, and then they would never hear from them again because they felt pressure and they felt like
Hmm.
we weren't listening to them. So I learned a
Yeah.
lot in that too.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that because that is one of the things that I'm talking about with like how the whole follow-up sales ISA has changed. The role
Yeah.
has changed. Um, the average ISA should look like you and me. Sadly, it does not, right?
No.
And that's why we are popular and we have wait lists and all that sort of thing is because we are people that do this and we can sit here and talk and help our clients. In a lot of ways, we are coaching them as
Yep.
well. And I
Yep.
think it's totally different from this, smile and dial mindlessly, which is what a lot of other
Yeah.
ISA companies do. And it's just like, oh, hit the phones, because you'll just hit something, you'll fall into it somehow.
It's
If you,
volume. They want
yeah,
volume. Yep.
right. It's like quantity over quality. But
100.
even in the event that if you don't have the right person representing you, and I think it's a huge deal too, because as agents, you are you are so
First,
many things.
yeah, you're the first voice they hear. You're the first person that says, I'm with so and so team.
Yes, and you represent your community, you represent a market, you represent a brand, you are um, basically you're showing everyone who you are, and that has to be representing well. And so that's
Yeah.
another reason why I like my clients, they have a lot of YouTube stuff and like that.
And how many times have you heard or heard a lead say, because again, we're the first impression, right? We're the first impression of you. So our job is to represent you and what you feel like. And there's so many times where I've seen, oh, I talked with Heather. She's amazing. You guys are doing great things. Like, that makes a big impression on people. And like that
It
one email
does.
that I showed, I think it was, I don't know if it was Street Text or it was you. I know I talked about it because I tell you everything, but it was like, I talked to Heather. We've been talking about the house. Now I'm going through the divorce. It's 4 properties.
Yes, yes, yes.
6 months or a year after I originally talked to this guy. And the fact that he remembered me by name, I was like,
That's exactly right. And something that okay, so we didn't get to all this, and I'm like, dang, time just flew, girl. But that's what I knew
oh
this would.
God, I didn't realize it was 9:25. Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, so I was gonna bring up, because I had this whole list of things, is ah, oh, okay. Follow up is no longer about chasing, it's about staying relevant and
Yeah,
asking better questions. Um, you know, slowing down when needed. This is something I have to do in the South. It is very, very difficult for me, but I do have to slow down.
100%.
It's so hard, but I do. Um, you have to build trust before pushing appointments. That is
Yeah,
something I have here. And then there was this part that I wanted to talk about, which is consistency.
yeah,
Um, being consistent, which is what you were. And even with another story time, one of my clients, the one that got the buyer's agency agreement signed, I went and called him right away. And then I went to find him in her CRM, and she had deleted him out of her CRM because she looked him up on Forewarn first, and he had a track record. And I had the call recorded, and I was like, "Ooh, he says he's pre-approved." I was like, "You got to trust your gut, but why don't you listen to this call and let me know what you think, right?" And so she listened to it. She said, "I'll work with him." So then we scheduled a time for them to talk. He couldn't answer. Something ended up happening. So then I scheduled another time, and then they connected, and then he signed the buyer's agreement. And he told her, "You are the only person that reached out to me and helped me, and like and thank you for being consistent with this. And like Sara was so great and all of that." And
yeah.
I'm like, that is what we do. Okay. That is the difference, I think, though, between us and some other people out there. And so our advice to agents that are, well, Thank you, Sherry. That's so sweet. um, our advice to other agents that might be considering hiring an ISA or hiring a VA, make them a part of your team. One of the things that is in my onboarding form, it says, I do this or we do this, my team does this for the excitement and the joy of doing something that we know is hard and a lot of agents don't want to do. But we get so jacked when we know that we got you a listing appointment and you're going to be a great fit for this person, that sort of thing. Like, we want to be involved, we want to be included. If you treat your ISA like they're just somebody overseas that you're going to boss around, they're not going to go above and beyond for you. So that's why all of this, I think, is a very relevant conversation, and we need to talk about it.
Well, and like what I just told an agent not too long ago, because I was getting really kind of annoyed. I'm like, would you treat an agent on your team like you're treating me?
Right? Right?
If your
That's
agent was on the phone setting this appointment and needed you to go with them, would you not talk to them for 2 weeks?
yeah.
Because I feel like that's not. I know that's not true. I watch it. I know that's
Yeah.
not true. So I'm like, I'm supposed to be a part of your team. I can't do my job. Help me help you. That's it. Help me
Exactly.
help
That is literally in my onboarding form. Help me
you.
help you. Okay?
Is it
Help
on
us
my
help
heart
you.
and mind? Because good lord.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's go over these really quickly if I can. Okay. How to set the ISA and VA up for success before day one. A lot of agents will skip this and then they complain later. So here's what you need to do. All right. You need to provide clear expectations, which we already went over, daily activities, KPIs, um, response times, So all of that is stuff that I go over with my clients. I tell them exactly how I call, when I call, what I do. I'm sure you do too, right?
Yep.
All right. Defined roles and boundaries, what, what is the role of the ISA? Like, what can they do? What do they have access to? Are they allowed to change statuses? Are they allowed to, create emails or anything like that? You need to make sure that they understand, especially, and the VAs too. I'm sure that's part of it as well,
Yep.
right? Um, it has a quote on here. It says, if your ISA is guessing, then your leads are dying. I wouldn't take it that far, but it is pretty,
I honestly, I would agree with that. If I have to guess what's going on, I don't. Yeah, no, I agree with
yeah.
that.
I mean,
Okay.
I know I've had a lot of situations where, like, some of my, earlier on, like, they were out at events and that sort of thing. And so, like, trying to set appointments was almost impossible because they were always like gone. So
Yep.
I learned, and every time I found something that was a hindrance, I put it back into the onboarding, form and into the discovery call to make sure people understand. So, um, oh, here's the part I was looking for. Number two, speed still wins, but consistency closes. That should be a quote right there. Speed,
Oh,
speed still
okay.
wins, but consistency closes. Okay, so follow-up trends show that speed matters, but persistence matters more.
I agree with that, especially with the way that I do business because I'm not a big. I mean, of course, speed to lead is great. Do not get me wrong, but I don't
Yes.
think it's as big of a deal as agents make it. I would say with cash offers maybe, and when they're right there and you can catch them, sure. There's some, but there's so much time that consistency. Like the what is it? The turtle wins the. What is it?
Yeah.
The
Uh,
story.
we know the
Yeah,
story, but I can't think of the quote.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
I
comes to
follow.
mind.
I follow. Okay. But yeah, I'm the same way. Every lead is not created equally. Google leads, online leads, I was
Yeah,
just browsing, maybe someday, just dreaming. Those do
yeah,
not need to be called within 5 minutes. Now, a Zillow lead, yes,
yeah.
that sort of thing. All right.
100%.
All right. Agents need to stop saying they weren't motivated and say, no, they weren't followed up with long enough. I agree with that.
I love that. Oh my god,
This is
so
good
much fun.
stuff. Maybe I should post this. If
You
you guys
should.
join, I have a Facebook group. It's called The Future of Follow Up for Real Estate. I will post this because it's in ChatGPT. It's just edited to my way. Okay, so we only got a couple more minutes. I mean, we're over, but we're gonna go one more minute. All right, so treat your ISA like a revenue partner. and not
Okay.
like a task robot. We already went over that, so we'll
Yep.
just, you understand. All right.
Yep.
We shared all the good reasons why. Um, they don't just book appointments, they protect your time and multiply your income when you use them in the right way.
Correct.
And
Yep.
you should time block. Like if you're having trouble, you're one of those agents that is reacting to everything happening and putting your ISA or your VA on the back burner, put some time aside and 15, 20 minutes, whatever it takes, put it aside and say, I'm going to respond to this at this time of day. And that should help, hopefully. All right. Um, let's see. Yeah, agents ghost their own ISA. That's what it is as not good.
It still
Uh,
blows my mind every time when you hear it out loud because I know that it happens. I feel it happen. And I just, for the life of me, I could not imagine. I just
I know,
couldn't.
especially paying for something that much, like you need to be asking, like if you are an agent with an ISA, you should be asking what conversations are they having, what objections are trending, what needs converting or pushing or nurturing.
Updating us on your market, updating us on what I just had an agent call me and let me know about interest rates, how they've gone down and they're 5.5. And like there's so many times where I can set again, I'm thinking of two specific agents. So I do a lot of FISBOs and expireds and those kind of calls as well. And there's an agent that I can set FISBOs with. It does not matter how many I set, what I said to get them in the door. It doesn't matter. They go in there, they close it almost every time. Then I have another
That's
agent, same
awesome.
exact setup, same exact everything, and she can't so much as secure even a text back. And I'm just like,
Yikes.
girl, something is amiss here because I can't be doing the two same things for two different people and have two very different outcomes.
Exactly. And so you got to
Uh,
communicate. And as long as you're
uh,
communicating with them and following up and all that stuff. Okay. Um, have accountability without micromanaging is another thing that I think is really important. Um, I had one, I had one client tell me that it was micromanaging to have agents put notes in the CRM. And I was like, no, that is what the CRM is for.
very basic.
Very basic. Okay, I'm almost done. Yeah, I mentioned follow-up is shifting from pressure to permission, and that's it. All right, so I'm gonna post this in the group, the future follow-up for real estate on Facebook. And yeah, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Heather. Till next
Bye,
time.
guys.
Bye.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.